Hello, Tar Heel Nation. We are back with another episode of UNC Hoops Talk podcast. It has been quite some time, probably early March, so nearly 2 months since we've been here. But this is the April podcast. This is the first off-season podcast. Welcome back into the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. Glad you're here. Glad you are supporting. Hopefully, you haven't forgotten about us. And we're just here to kick off the off season. There has been a lot has happened since the last podcast. Nothing game wise. Obviously, March Madness happened without the Tar Heels. Congratulations to the Yukon Huskies for winning the national championship. Um, but lots of action since then with our Tar Heels. So we are here to kind of recap all that, kind of give our thoughts about where we're at, where we're going, and all that good stuff. So, if you are not subscribed, I would love if you would subscribe wherever you're listening or watching this. We are doing this live on YouTube. 300 is in here already. My guy, glad to see you back and see people jumping in here. Mike is in here as well. Yes, sir. Here we go. The Nintendo nerd here. Can't stay for long. Got a short week work break, but I'll share some comments while I can. Good to see you, Dan. Good to have you here, and no worries about it, man. We are glad to have you here. So, yeah, if you would like to join the live show, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell because, as you know, I say it every time, not very scheduled out or consistent about when I do it. So hit the notification bell. You can come join us live and put your comments in and just join our conversation. But um, we are going to jump into and just hopefully I can remember all the names. I've kind of pulled up a couple of things, so hopefully I got the complete rosters at this point of who's left and who's come and all that good stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So chat, make sure you keep me straight here on the names. Make sure I don't forget anybody and all that good stuff. So I guess we'll start with people that transferred out. Um, I don't even want to say number here because I'm going to get it wrong. But we had Justin McCoy is going to Hawaii. We have um, Styles that is going to Georgetown. We have Tyler Nickel going to Virginia Tech. We have oh man, no, I knew I was forgetting to get some. We have Will Shaver going to Belmont. We have Caleb Love going to Michigan, and I still feel like I'm forgetting one. Who am I? Oh, Puff Johnson is going to Penn State as well. So I believe those, and then obviously we had Leaky Black and we had Pete Nance who had no eligibility left. Will not be on the team anymore. So uh, what is that? 7 guys, I think, 7 or 8 guys. I think 8 guys off the roster from last year. Um, Armando announced he was coming back for his 5th year. RJ Davis is coming back for his senior year, and just uh, to remember that he has 1 year left as well after this next season. So RJ could come back for a fifth, and then that's the last class that has the kind of extra COVID year. So Armando using his, RJ could potentially use his after this season. So that's who was going out. And then of course the younger guys as well. Obviously, Styles not, but Nickel not, but um, Demarco Dunn is back. Seth Trimble is back. Jalen Washington is back. I don't think anybody else really had to make an announcement besides those kind of five with Mondo and RJ, and then those three younger guys. Um, so yeah, the guys coming in, and this is where I'm gonna pull something up here. So first we had Paxton Wojcik. I don't know how to say it exactly. From Howard, committed way back beginning of March. So that was a quick one, and he is someone again. Someone can correct me. His dad was an assistant under Matt Doherty, I believe. So there's a little bit of legacy there. I don't know where his dad is coaching or if he is coaching now. Um, if he's on his staff, but a little bit of a legacy there with him. And then the next guy to come in was Jalen Withers out of Louisville. And he will have 2 years left. He's right there with RJ. He'll have this year, and then he could use a COVID year next year if he wanted to. Um, So he'll have 2 years left, and then, just last week, I guess, end of last week, we got, Carmack Ryan out of Notre Dame. I guess I can say positions and stuff. I've not watched a lot of highlights or, anything. Obviously, we played against Notre Dame, we played against Louisville, but, Paxson is a shooting guard. Um, Jalen Withers is and I don't have the heights in front of me, but he's a power forward. Carmack is a shooting guard. At least that's what it's listed on Inside Carolina. And then the I feel like I'm missing one in there, but no, the most recent commitment, and I said last week for it was actually what Carmack was says. Well, I don't know. I don't know. This is last update on March 24th for Carmack, and again, time is a thing that just doesn't exist at my house. But that was March 24th. I don't think he committed that long ago, but I don't know that it was last week, as I said either. So, and then we have a small forward in Harrison Ingram, um, out of Stanford. So going from playing for Jared Haas to coming over to Hubert Davis's staff. I know we were big and really close to getting Harrison out of high school. So he, I believe, was a sophomore this year. So he'll have 2 years remaining as well because he is the first class not getting the COVID year. So he'll have his junior and senior year, obviously, if he takes them. Supposedly, there is a one transfer limit, but we're already hearing of people getting waivers for um, mental health and things like that, and getting waivers to play right away. So, um, obviously, if Harrison Ingram or if the Tar Heels have a really great year, he could also go pro. He was a highly ranked guy out of high school. Had decent stats for Stanford. Obviously, Stanford did not have a good season last year, but he averaged like 10, 5, and 3 or something like that between rebounds and assists. So gets after the boards a little bit for a small forward as well. I think he played some stretch four at Stanford, but also, and I know he talked about in an interview after committing about possibly playing some point forward. He's got, the Theo Pinson role. He's got some nice passing, had some nice assists, or at least stats wise, at Stanford. So somebody I know somebody saw. I think going back to where I missed. Um, Going back to where I stopped reading the comments here. Nintendo Nerd says the program needed a pretty clean sweep. Mondo and RJ are good foundations, while new talent is hopefully complement them better. So yeah, that's been a lot of the talk lately. Is um, do we have as much talent? Do we have the right fit? But it seems more of yeah, Hubert is like, hey, we got RJ and Mondo. Now we're looking for fit guys. Obviously shooting, and we'll see how it gels. I don't know. Mike here asked, "What are your thoughts on guys transferring out?" Really, I mean, you can't blame them. We don't know who knew whose decision when they did. Did Tyler Nickel know that RJ and Mondo were coming back? Did he know that Styles was going to transfer out when he did? Because Nickel was the first one. Nickel and McCoy, which I think you guys know my opinion on McCoy. Good luck to him. Don't wish him any ill will or anything like that. Should be a fun fifth year for him out in Hawaii. Going from Virginia to North Carolina and now out to Hawaii. Hopefully he does well. But whatever. I would have loved to keep Tyler Nickel. I think there was a spot for him. I think if he would have got some minutes, got comfortable, he could have scored. I don't think he was a complete liability or just horrible on defense. So I think we could have used him. But he was kind of the first guy out. So what can you say? Dontrez Styles again. I'd said it after his freshman year. I don't really know how he stayed. Besides that, he got a few minutes in like that Baylor game when they made the big run, we held them off. He hit that big three to start overtime, help us beat Baylor in the tournament run. But you kind of thought maybe he would build off that, and obviously he did too, or you don't think he would have stayed. But I wouldn't have blamed him really for leaving after his freshman year when he didn't get to play, and everybody was coming back. Uh, So you really can't blame him now after 2 years of not playing, that he just wants to go and play. He wants to show what he can do. Um, and yeah, obviously we don't know what was said in meetings. If Hubert was straight up and told him like you're still not going to get minutes this year, or he just couldn't, maybe said, well, there's potential for you to get minutes, but it wasn't good enough for Styles. You don't know, but he's out. Puff Johnson, from what people have said, and I don't know how much they know from. I don't think it's anybody that was in a meeting, but they kind of just said, with his injuries and being injury prone, they couldn't commit to him lots of minutes as well. So um, it'll be interesting to watch those guys as they go out. Obviously, Shaver going kind of down a level to Belmont from the ACC. So hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully, he again. None of those guys I really wish ill against. You can't really blame any of them. They're kind of doing what they're doing, what they need to do. So Mike says, so this is Paxton's dad. Doug must be at Michigan State on the staff there. So I kind of figured he was on somewhere. I didn't know where, but um, so guys we have coming in. Um, Again, I have not watched a bunch of tape. People are always excited when you get them and you watch highlight tapes and they look great and they're going to fit and shooting percentages are great. But uh, I always kind of take that with a grain of salt because remember, that's what we heard about Pete Nance coming in last year is he shot, high 30s from three, but it was such a low percentage. Hopefully these guys and somebody said, I don't know who, but is if we kind of give scholarships to three shooters, hopefully at least one of them kind of pans out and gives us a good shooter for next year. And that's I guess how you kind of have to do uh, the transfer portal is between Carmack Ryan, Paxton Wojcik, because they only got 1 year. Jalen Withers, kind of as a, I don't know, is he a stretch four? Does he come off the bench with a second? Because remember, we also have Jaden High and Simeon Wilcher coming in, and and obviously Hubert has shown he's not willing, or at least he hasn't been to really throw those freshmen in there. Seth Trimble got a little bit of a run, Jalen Washington some, probably both of them really not ready for it. We talked about Tyler Nickel transferring out. So, where do they fit in? Obviously, big guys were a little bit thin. We have Armando, and then we have Withers and Jalen Washington, and then, Zayden High, which, again, people, hopefully he's willing to uh, not get a ton of minutes his freshman year to I don't know, grow into that position, I guess, because he's not um, real big and probably really ready. And we'll see how Jalen is again with an off season. Hopefully, with our strength and conditioning, with our you know being at North Carolina, hopefully he's ready for this year. But um, yeah, I do think we see these transfers come in and people are all excited, and you see the projected starting lineups, and Jalen Washington's nowhere to be seen, Seth Trimble's nowhere to be seen, and it's like, are those, DeMarco Dunn? We just kind of forget about those guys and don't talk about them anymore, and um, and then we get into this. Oh, we got all this depth because we have Seth Trimble and DeMarco Dunn and guys that we don't even talk about coming off the bench, but are we going to play the bench? You know, so um, again, it sounds like Carmack Ryan. I don't remember him playing against us. This year against Notre Dame. I'm not sure what he did against us. Again, shot a pretty good percentage, but all the guys that we came from or that we got came from programs that were not successful last year. So even shooting those percentages or getting those stats, like how does that translate if we're trying to be a good team? Louisville was horrendous last year. Um, so what does it mean that you shot high 30s from three on Louisville against some of those teams? And Notre Dame was not good last year. So the stats that Carmack Ryan put up, what does that mean for the Tar Heels next year? Um, I think Harrison Ingram against Stanford was not good last year. Did not make the tournament. Um, he's athletic. I think he's got a high ceiling. Hopefully, I think he was kind of what they thought would be the building piece for Stanford out there, being the top recruit. So maybe him being behind RJ and Armando just kind of fits in a little bit better, and um, maybe doesn't put up the same stats, but just looks better and plays a complete game and helps us win. I mean, that's ultimately what we want. Obviously, these guys are they want to win. I'm not questioning that, but they also want to look good and put up the stats to be able to turn pro and make that money. So, um, it'll be interesting to see. And obviously we have two scholarships left. Are we done? We don't know that. And kind of get into a little bit. I'm going to go through some comments here, but we'll get into a lot of talk of reclassifying guys in the 24 class to come still next year. So do we do we use those scholarships for those guys in case they do that? Because obviously, with whole GG thing last year, kind of got burnt there. Not that he did much at South Carolina. Or do we save it for guys that are right now in the NBA draft and have till I think it's May 31st to take their name out of the draft? It's kind of where we got Pete Nance from last year. Do we save both of those or one of those for one of those guys? It'll be interesting. Our offseason is not done. We do not know our roster completely for next year. So the Nintendo Nerd says, wasn't sure about Ryan. I watched some tape of him. He seems really legit, and I'm excited for him. So again, I haven't watched much tape. I don't know. 300 says the kid from Carmack, which or from Notre Dame, sorry, which is Carmack Ryan. Is a big time shot maker. Love his game. And then he also says Carmack was on a garbage team. He's going to have the green light with us. Nintendo Nerd says Harrison has a high ceiling. Gotta hope he reaches it at Chapel Hill. That's the other thing is again the chemistry. We saw the run and then we saw the same team kind of do nothing. So how is the chemistry with this team? It's got to be something I think that the coaching staff Hubert is paying attention to and hopefully getting those right guys in there. Nintendo Nerd says we should look for a backup for Baycott in the portal, or will Jalen and maybe Zayden High fill that role? And that's the question: are they ready, or do we need to be looking for a kind of a backup big? And who's signing as a backup big, or do they go kind of to a mid major and get starters minutes and you know bigger minutes? Because again, we have not proven that we like to play a bench under this coaching staff. So might be hard to kind of recruit a backup, somebody that's in a backup role. So and then there's people that say we still need kind of the true point guard, and we'll get to that. Talking about our 24 class, or do we need another athletic wing? Um, you know, so lots of stuff still to decide for this staff. 300 says I'll take Carmack over all of them that left. I think a lot of people are that way, though. We see kind of the shiny new toy, but I don't disagree necessarily. Again, I would have loved to have Styles with a couple years left, or Tyler Nickel with 3 years left. But again, this is the new college basketball. It's going to be year to year, put piecing your roster together between you know some of high school players that maybe you can develop, and then you know the older guys in the transfer portal, and you know I don't know. I don't necessarily like it. It's the way it is. You have to accept it, but doesn't mean I have to like it, I guess. So Nintendo Nerd says the key is if Coach Davis can develop a bench. The fact that he seemed to recruit over the previous talent makes me cautiously hopeful. But yeah, I mean, again, if we get another guard, um, is DeMarco Dunn or Seth Trumbull out, thinking they're not gonna get any time. So 300 tells me not to worry. Carmack's the real deal. Um, Nintendo says at this point, I just want to see us make a three. 300 says Carmack is a defensive stopper. Yeah, that's something we haven't really talked about either. Is with Leaky going out or leaving, whatever, he didn't ditch us or anything, but kind of who's our defensive stopper? Who's going to set the tone on defense this year? Nintendo Simeon is so good. If he doesn't get minutes, then I will be very critical. And yeah, again, that's we kind of forget about our freshmen now because we bringing in all these transfers. Carmack's the reason Notre Dame beat Alabama in the tournament a couple years ago. 300 says his stats are going to be better. He's shooting with people draped on him. Now he gets free reign at UNC, just like Cam Johnson when he came to us. I think that's the plan. Is that he'll be wide open with because if we throw the ball into Armando, um, he can kick it out and these guys can knock down shots. So um, somebody did ask I think it was on an Inside Carolina podcast though, like who takes the last shot for us if we're down 1 point with 6 seconds left or 12 seconds left, or we're down two and we either need a tie to go to overtime or win it with a three. Like you don't really have time to go into Armando unless you can drive and dish real quick. But like who is the guy that steps up and takes our last shot with the roster we have right now? So Mike says we just need guys that really want to win and a good culture, guys. I think Hubert's addressing that, but like Dan said, we have to wait and see. Um, yeah, I mean, we hope so, but you never know what the chemistry is going to be like. We thought we were going to be on a good track last year with all the guys coming back from that run, and they were going to be so hungry and all that stuff, but doesn't always work that way. So Mike says RJ is taking the last shot. I mean, it's got to be. You think you put your hands in it. Even if he isn't playing point guard, he's going to be a guard. You put the ball in his hands, and he's got to make something happen. But do we? Is that a I don't know, a Final Four? I mean, again, it was a couple of years ago. I don't know that I mean, it was Caleb hitting kind of the big shots 2 years ago and made the run. So is RJ and Mike agrees, or sorry, 300 agrees with Mike, and I agree too. I mean, I think it's got to be RJ that takes the last shot. But is that a Final Four formula or a championship formula to have him taking the last shot? And I'm not saying it's not, just kind of throwing it out there, question it. Yeah, so we're getting a couple of comments here. Other big news that just happened last couple of days anyway is, well, the first part of it happened a week or two ago, but the last part of it just a couple days ago is that our I want to say director of basketball operations, but it wasn't that. It was the director of player development, Jackie Manuel, left UNC to go to. I was gonna say like Alabama State. I don't think that's right. I think it starts with an A, but he went somewhere to be a full-on assistant so he could get back on the court. Um, and so obviously that spot is open. And then just like yesterday, a couple days ago, UNC social media, or maybe it was even UNC Carolina. I don't know if I've seen anything official from UNC social media, but Marcus Page is on the coaching staff. So we kind of assume or figure that Marcus is going to take Jackie's spot there of player development. So he cannot technically, I think, get on the court during practice and coach. I think he can work the guys out, but he can't. He's not an official, assistant coach to where he could be in there. I don't know that they can stop him from saying stuff in huddles or in locker rooms and stuff like that. But he cannot be on the court during practice. I think with the guys, he can work them out individually, but. So obviously, a lot of people are excited to have Marcus back. A little surprising because you figure he had maybe a few years left playing overseas, but uh, obviously continues the coaching tree of North Carolina. And Hubert always are saying that there will always be a full North Carolina um, roster on the staff. That it will all be Carolina guys. Um, so 300's favorite Tar Heel. I mean, it's got to be one of everybody's favorites. I don't know. It's been a while since I've had to really pick who my favorite is, but there's so many. Obviously, for me, it kind of started with Antoine and Vince. Um, Joseph Forte was a favorite of mine. I know this is not a name you can say on a Carolina podcast, but Rashad McCants was a killer when he was at Carolina. Loved watching him. And just his complete game. And then obviously Hansborough, and you throw in there, I loved watching Wayne Elling's stroke. You loved watching Ty Lawson get up and down the court. Kendall Marshall, loved watching him pass the ball around. And then, Marcus Page, a lot of them, but he's got to be right up there in everybody's list, even if he's not at the top. So Mike asks thoughts on Caleb Love. Not surprised that he transferred out. I think it was again, everybody's kind of said it, but I do think it was kind of best for uh, both sides, both parties. It'll be interesting to see him at Michigan. They lost the big guy, Hunter Dickinson. We don't know where he's going yet, but he won't be there. So I assume he'll kind of have the green light. I don't know that they have much else scoring, and so, I don't know. It was interesting, if you've kind of kept up on social media about it, or I don't know if there's a lot of articles written about it, but he went on Instagram Live shortly before he announced, I think, and kind of said he wants coaching next year, somebody that's going to really get on him when he takes bad shots and really coach him up, and stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting. Is it a dig at Hubert that he wasn't doing that, or what? But now he goes to a place where he's going to have to probably shoot a lot and take a lot of shots and try to score a lot. He did say also that he wanted to, I think, exclusively run point guard, and I don't know exactly what Michigan's makeup of their roster is at this point. If that's possible, or if they kind of have a returning point guard, I don't know that. But it'll be interesting. You kind of know, well, I kinda thought maybe we'd play Michigan, but, the ACC Big Ten Challenge is no more, and then they did announce the jump man that we were playing Oklahoma and not, Michigan. I think it was Armando had kinda tweeted out after Caleb went there that, he kinda tweeted at Jumpman or something like that on Twitter and said, "Let's run it back," as in, "Let's play them again." So, it'll be interesting. So 300 says Hubert let him have the free reign, and Caleb is going to go to the G League, no NBA. Mike says it was 100% a dig at HD, kind of lost respect after that. So I didn't see a ton of people say that. I mean, that was kind of what popped into my head like, okay, so you're saying that that didn't happen, even though you wanted it to happen here. So that was interesting. I wanted to go back. I saw some of these Marcus Page comments early on, and I wasn't talking about that yet. But scrolled back up here. 300 said Marcus Page back in the squad. That's my favorite Tar Heel ever. Smile on my face is still on. And then the Nintendo, which I think has left already, but says Marcus joining the staff is awesome. Hope we can give him the ring he deserves. So I think we got a little bit of work to do to probably get that, but everybody does at this point. And I don't know. I guess I would ask, what do you guys think we need on our roster yet? If you're listening to this live, if you're listening to this later, I would love for you to tweet at me. It's at Altar Heel Dan. You can tweet and what piece is left on our roster. Whether you think that's a specific guy, is it a specific position or type of player? What do we need to use those last two scholarships, or do we just keep them? Because we know that Hubert's not going to play a bench, and we can't keep 13 scholarship guys happy anyway, and so we're just not going to give out that many. Give them to a couple of walk-ons. And I guess there is other news. I was thinking that he had signed, but I guess it's just an offer still. Brady Dunlap is a three-star guy. I think that's still for next year, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that would be for next year yet. And he's got a couple other schools obviously looking at him and stuff, so he hasn't committed. But um, you know, do we just go with that where maybe he will stay, 2-3 years and maybe can develop? People are saying he's a shooter, and so if he's happy, maybe getting minimal minutes the first year, a little bit second year to develop, and then he's maybe actually contributing by his junior year. Do we go that route and give him and like Creighton Lebo a scholarship off the bench, or Bo May? I was gonna say Bo Duke, but wrong era. Do we give those guys? 300's already saying we need somebody to back up the big guys, Baycott and Jalen. They're injury prone. Yeah, and Zayden is not probably built ready to go in there yet. Mike says we need athletic forward that can score and a backup center. And that brings us kind of to the other talk as maybe other people are going to answer that question. Again, send it to me on Twitter what your answer is. But a lot of talk about Elliot Cadeau transferring from the 2024 class to this next year, being a point guard. He has shown out kind of in every tournament he's been in this summer, all the AAU tournaments, EYBL, and I don't know if it's Peach Jam or where he's all been, but wherever he's been, it was one of those national tournaments. He has lit it up and looked fantastic to giving us a little bit of Kendall Marshall flashbacks. And so, do you want him to reclassify into next year? And if he lives up to the hype, he would probably be one and done, gone. But again, if we're good, is it worth it? You want him to stick in the class he's in and come up with that, have that big class that we come in with. Yeah, 300 says Ian as well. Um, you know, well, we got Drake Powell, we got Ian Jackson, Elliot Cadeau. Um, who's the other one? I want to say Jason Brown. I don't think it's Jason Brown, something Brown. So Mike is saying I prefer he stay in 24. 300 says he said he's coming out 2024 today. So explain that 300 that he's staying in his class and he'll be coming in 24. Is that what he said today? I haven't seen anything from today, but a lot of talk about that. Getting his pure, but again, if he were to classify to 2023 class, then we have Simeon Wilcher coming in. We have Elliot Cadeau coming in. Then we have Seth Trimble on the bench. We have RJ. We have DeMarco Dunn. Um, that's a log jam in there. So who's leaving out? All right, so 300 said he is not reclassifying. He's gonna. All right, so I did not see that he had made that statement. Mike corrected me there. There, James Brown is the other recruit we got in 2024, and then I know there is at least one other guy that they're kind of looking at for that class, and people are saying it could be like the Fab Five, whatever. Um, so yeah, if he's not coming back, then it sets us, and it kind of goes back to what do we need? And I think I agree, we need a big guy. Again, can we recruit a back somebody to a backup role? Who in the portal is wanting to sign right now to get backup minutes behind in a preseason All American in Armando Baycat. So that's kind of the question. Is yeah, I would love to have somebody else back there. Yeah, Mike says Jaron Stevenson's the other one. They're hoping that they can get in the 24 class. Um, but yeah, can we get somebody to be in the backup role behind Armando? Um, and then too, like an athletic wing, but then where do they fit? Again, we go through our roster. Uh, Obviously, Armando and RJ are probably starting. You think probably Cormac Ryan is starting. Um, is Jalen Withers starting at our power four, at our stretch four, and then Harrison Ingram at the three. So then off the bench, that leaves both of our freshmen, Simeon and Zayden. We got Jalen Washington and Seth Trimble, both of our sophomores. Again, how much are they going to play their second year? DeMarco Dunn, how much is he going to play in his junior year already? Um, so that would be 10 deep, and that's not even counting Paxton Wojcik, uh, our other transfer portal guy. So that's 11. We know we're not going 11 deep. And so it's like who's kind of left out there. And again, and who are we going to sign that again somebody doesn't, they can still leave now. I think they can enter the portal. No, wait. I think the portal what just ended. I know the to have your name in the draft, I think deadline just went past. I don't know if anybody knows when they have to be. Well, I guess you don't have to be out of the portal. I don't know when the last time they can enter the portal is. They can. I think it's a couple of days after when they have to announce that they're coming back and not staying in the draft, or maybe it's like the same time, the end of May, somewhere in there, the end of May, beginning of June, something like that. I think you have to be in the portal to be in it. You can't enter it anytime after that. So, um, yeah, a lot of questions still out there about Carolina. Um, Mike says, I love Paxton's attitude and leadership skills already. He's kind of sounds like Brady, but not skill wise, just leadership wise. And so, yeah, does that work to have your leader not? I mean, how many minutes is he going to get? Um, again, I kind of see, is it Seth Tremble or Demarco Dunn's kind of odd man out, and one of them transfers either before this year yet or afterwards. I don't know. College basketball is just in a different spot now, and again, I don't know that I like it, but it's the way it is, and we got to get used to it. So I don't know. From first off season podcast, we're already at 35 minutes, and I think we've covered a lot of it. If there's anything else that I haven't covered off season uh, news wise, I think we got it. The people leaving. I don't know. I'm interested to see our guys that left. Caleb will be interested at Michigan that we talked about. I'm really interested to see, especially if Styles can get minutes at Georgetown, which you think he can. They weren't, good, new coach, all that stuff. Uh, I'm interested to see kind of what he can do and what we're missing out on from him. Tyler Nickel, I hate that he's in the conference, but um, I'll be interested to see what he can do on another team when he's getting minutes. I just hope that he doesn't do it against us. Um, especially those two. I think really. I don't know. Really, really excited. I don't know. I'm curious to follow kind of what there's. And I'll be interested to see. Yeah, again, I think the biggest two questions is kind of our chemistry, and then can we develop a bench? It's still it's gonna until Hubert proves it. It's gonna be kind of the question mark. Is he willing to develop a bench, so that guys aren't just getting beat up minute wise and injury wise and so dependent on five, six, seven guys, and then we do get this mass exit every year and not in a good way. We used to get the mass exits after championships. Now it's because guys aren't getting playing time. So again, it's the way college basketball is. I know I sound like the old guy of get on my off my lawn and that kind of stuff, but it's the way it is. Mike says Dunn is the only one who hasn't confirmed he's coming back. Yeah, I guess that's true. He never said he has. I think he was in the pictures though when they were practicing, right? But yeah, he still could put his name in. Remember last year, Kerwin Walton put his name in like the last day that he could. So kind of a surprise. 300 says Tremble is going to be the odd man out. He can't score. That'll be the other thing is can we develop him? Can again look at our staff. We have Hubert Davis who was a shooter. We have Lebo who was a shooter. We have um, Sean May who played a little bit in the NBA as a big man. Pat Sullivan, longtime NBA guy. Like we should be able to develop guys, right? So that'll be interesting, I guess, as well. But Mike says it'll be funny if he doesn't get minutes over there. I don't know if he's talking about Styles or Nichols, but I assume it's one of those guys that he's talking about. I don't know. That's not nice, Mike. Come on now. 300 says if Virginia Tech doesn't give him burn, then we know he's no good. Talking about Nichols. I mean, I guess, but um, he's pretty much a freshman. He hasn't got hardly any minutes. So, all right, I think we're good. I think we ran the gamut here, talked about it all. I appreciate the guys, Mike, 310 nerd, the guys that were in here tonight. If you're listening to this later, I appreciate you as well. Again, make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening to this, and yeah, thanks for coming on this journey and just trying to unite Tar Heel Nation. Reminder, we are once a month in the off season, so I guess it's almost May after this week. It is May already, but at some point in May, we'll be back here, just kind of updating or just kind of chatting, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about starting lineups, maybe, or I don't know. We'll find something to chat about. So. Um, Mike says, appreciate Dan. See you soon. I appreciate you, Mike. And yeah, we will see you guys next month. That is all I got for you guys tonight. Until then, go Heels.